Right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, there shouldn't be any surprise that the Colorado Rockies were the first team eliminated from playoff contention this year, as they were destined to struggle after that 9-50 start. At the end of the day, you can try to put lipstick on a pig and say that things have gotten better for the Rockies as they won five out of their first seven out of the All Star break, while they won four games in a row last month, which included winning a series from the defending World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. But even with that, Colorado is well on their way to losing at least 100 games for the third consecutive year. Matter of fact, if Colorado does lose tonight to the San Francisco Giants, it will be 100 losses once again. However, the saving grace, if there is one for the Rockies, is that they more than likely will not break the record for most losses in a season in the modern era of baseball. The Chicago White Sox just set that mark for futility last year as they lost 121 games. All right. And now Colorado's only going to need to win three games over the last month of the season to do that. I mean, to avoid doing that. It's doable, you know what I'm saying? But honestly, at the end of the day, you really can't put all your ducks or eggs in one basket rather until the Rockies go out there and get it done. Nonetheless, with all of that, is there or should there be some optimism for baseball fans in the Rocky Mountain region that things can get turned around for this ball club? The bottom line is the Monfort brothers continue to own this franchise. And on their watch, Colorado has only made it to the postseason five times, while they've only advanced in the playoffs twice. Colorado's pitching continues to be one of, if not the worst pitching staffs in the majors, as they're once again flirting with having a team ERA above six. All right. The only bright spots this season for the Rockies have been outfielder Jordan Beck and catcher Hunter Goodman. Colorado, they continue to have one of the lowest team payrolls in Major League Baseball. And honestly, it would not surprise me that the Monforts will use the fact that things did not work out in their signing of Chris Bryant as an excuse to not go out there and spend money. And like I continue to say, just because you are in a smaller market does not give you a free pass to not compete. Now, since the year 2015, every other major sports professional franchise in Denver has gone on to win their league championship once while they also continue to compete. What is the Rockies' excuse? Okay. There is such a big need for a culture change for the Colorado Rockies. We just bid farewell to Labor Day weekend. Okay. And at this point of the season, this is the final month of the regular season in MLB. This team has only won 10 games within the National League West, as everybody in that division, for the most part, has taken their turn beating up on Colorado. Okay. Excuse me. Now, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred has been preaching change in baseball. And I've talked about the hypocrisy of Rob Manfred, in the past. And I'm going to touch on it again right now because instead of him and the other team owners around baseball ripping the A's from the loyal fans in Oakland, are now talking about possible realignment after potential expansion and, pushing for a salary cap, which in my opinion would penalize, the big market clubs that are willing to spend. How about you push to take teams like the Rockies away from owners like the Monforts who really don't care? And it's clear and evident that they don't. And instead, go ahead and put the team in hands of people who want to give fans a reason to go to the ballpark and spend their money. I totally get it that Rob Manfred works for the team owners, but you just look at the Colorado Rockies right now. Seven straight losing seasons, three straight 100 losing campaigns. Okay, we could, and I'm basically going ahead and penciling this in because Colorado is not going to win the rest of their games the rest of this year. That's a pipe dream. Okay, but nonetheless, three straight 100 losing seasons and seven straight losing seasons overall is a clear illustration that the Manforts can care less about winning. And to me, it's one of those, like I said before, you can be in a small market and still compete. Denver is not the smallest market out there. It's smaller compared to the likes of Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Boston, places like that. But nonetheless, you're not drafting, you're not scouting, you're not developing talent in your system because even when the Rockies would have lean years in the past, there was still some optimism about guys coming up. And then the biggest thing for me with this, with the Rockies, is this with the Rockies. They've never been known to have, the best pitching staff. You're not going to see a scenario like we saw once upon a time with the Baltimore Orioles where you have 420 game winners out there, and you're not going to have Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz coming, those lights coming through the system. But nonetheless, Colorado's bread was buttered on hitting and hitting for power. And you think about the Blake Street Bombers, back in the '90s. You think about that crew that got them to the World Series back in 2007 with the likes of Matt Holliday and company. You don't have that with this Colorado bunch right now. So what are we doing out there? You're not even trying. Okay, you look at this Rockies team right now, and in this era, of launch angles and trying to hit for the swing for the fences. The only guy that has hit more than 20 home runs so far this season has been Hunter Goodman. Okay, so again, it just goes to show you of how many issues there are within this organization as far as finding and developing talent. And again, the buck starts and ends with the ownerships, in my opinion. Now, Coors Field continues to be one of the most beautiful ballparks in baseball. Okay, excuse me. But other than giveaway day, or any type of giveaway days that they have, you know, what reason are you giving the folks in Denver to come out there and support this product? I mean, you look at the series this past weekend with the Chicago Cubs, it was mainly Cub fans there. I think back to the series that the Rockies had earlier this year with the New York Yankees. How many of those people that were in the seats were Yankee fans? It's the bulk of people. And it's going to be like that when they face any of the big market clubs, your Dodgers, your Mets, your Yankees, your Red Sox, and so forth because you're not giving your local fan base a reason to go out there and support your product. And again, that falls into the lap of the Monforts. At least the sports fans in Denver and in that region, they have something to look forward to. The Broncos are about to start their new season. And of course, the same thing for the Nuggets in the NBA and the Avalanche in the NHL. Those seasons are going to be starting up before you blink as well. So at least you have something to watch. But I think this is the bigger issue for Major League Baseball, in my opinion, that is not talked about enough. And it's owners who don't care. The Monforts want, like guys like the Monforts want to sit up there and cry poverty and they want to push for a salary cap. But at the same time, you have to try harder to go out there and do something in order to compete. Colorado's payroll this season, not even at $90 million. Okay, you're not even trying. And these are the things I talk about with MLB as far as you're pushing so much for a salary cap and the luxury tax and all this other stuff, but there needs to be a floor as well. Some of these teams have to start spending more money. And it's not just about spending money in free agency, it's also about working to develop your talent and put a better product out there on the field. And I cannot say this enough because it starts and ends with the Monforts, and it is ridiculous. Three straight 100 loss seasons is flat out embarrassing. There's no way around it. Okay, you look at the Rockies right now. Like I said, they were the first team eliminated from postseason play, and they're probably not going to be the only team to lose 100 games this year. The White Sox, they still have a puncher's chance to do that themselves, but nonetheless, you look at the Rockies right now. They're nearly 40 games out of first place in the National League West. Okay, the next closest team to the Rockies in the standings are the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks still have nearly a 30-game lead over the Colorado Rockies. Okay, even in the wild card race, Colorado is 35 games behind the New York Mets for the last wild card in the NL. The next closest team in the National League to the Rockies, the Washington Nationals, as bad as they are, the Nats still have nearly a 16-game cushion on Colorado. That just shows you how bad it is and how bad that it continues to be for this team. It starts at the top. The Monforts don't care. So why should the fans of the Colorado Rockies go out there and care? This to me is the bigger issue with Major League Baseball. But of course, is Rob Manfred going to go out there and tell his bosses that they have to get their act together? Absolutely not. And of course, who suffers? The sports fans in the Rocky Mountain region, because this is what the Monforts are trying to put out there and call a major league product. This is a double A product, not even a triple A product. And it stinks and it's terrible. And I think that is a big issue that hopefully sooner rather than later can be rectified. But at the end of the day, I'm not holding out hope. I feel sorry for anybody who bought season tickets for the Colorado Rockies or any type of other merchandise, because the Monforts, they're just looking to pocket money. They don't care. And it shows with the product that they continue to put out there year in and year out. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw on this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. And like I always say, it is greatly appreciated. Also, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. And the same goes for Instagram, where you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you're on Facebook, you can check us out at the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.